I don't, you know what I mean? Like just interject, don't hold anything back. If you got, yeah, and I'll kind of show you how to do it. It usually takes me a couple tries, but sometimes I nail it. So, uh, idea, I think it's 004. And my last idea is 003. Didn't get bought, but it's okay. I'm going to do it anyways. I set a high reserve, so I kind of knew that was going to happen. But I'm going to do it, I think, in maybe the snow world and then, or outdoor world, and maybe adapt it if it works. But, anyways, idea 004. New one. It's an idea. It's a product idea based around a chair. I think that has a lot of opportunity for anyone wanting to make a product or a brand. And my buddy Scott is here with me. He didn't want to be. He refused to be shot on camera. However, he agreed to still let me use his voice and stuff. But maybe he'll show himself. Maybe not. But he's got a lot of product knowledge. And if you've ever been in the shop or anything like that, you've probably seen Scott in there and chatted him up. Vice versa about product design and textiles and the whole nine. But he's usually probably my best point of reference to bounce ideas at and tell me maybe either how bad they are, why they won't work, or what he thinks is good, which is very rare. So it's important that he's here. But anyways, we'll jump right in. I have this chair. It's known as a camping chair, and I made one like 2 years ago. I was going to do a bunch. I wanted to do a Hathenbrook product that was like this cooler. I just saw a giant opportunity to do. We know it as a camping chair, but I don't know if it's known as like a football or basketball or sports event chair. But we've all seen this chair. It's pretty basic. It's collapsible, and this one I did kind of a new fabric on. It only took me a minute to kind of sew it up. So just a rough sample that I did, but I look at it all the time and actually use it quite a bit and say somebody needs to do these. But one of the reasons for this idea is that I think if you're someone who likes product, likes building out brands, likes ideas, now is the time more than ever to hop into something that can be used outdoor, but also it's collapsible, easy to carry, inside, mobile. But I haven't seen a lot of cool camping chairs. There's brands out there like Snow Peak and other outdoor brands that are doing, technical chairs, or they are super expensive and they have some sort of I wouldn't say gimmick, but some sort of quantifiable edge that makes them better. But I'm really into just taking the most basic product and just trying to make it a little bit cooler, and then making it more accessible. So I feel like if you're in the dorm, you could have a cool chair versus just this, REI Kirkland camping chair or whatever. So the one thing is in this chair, there's only a handful of parts. Like there's some aluminum, there's this base foot here, and then a little bit of sewing, but fairly easy to make. The other opportunity is fairly easy to source a basic one and then make cooler. So if you're not someone who wants to start, unlike Scott likes to design everything from zero. But if you're someone who wants to start maybe at a 30 or 50% design and just take it and powder coat the aluminum, source cool fabrics, maybe vintage fabrics, maybe do some screen printing, embroidery, even do a cool. You could 3D print, or if you're like my buddy Ben, you could take it in CNC, maybe an aluminum foot, because these are all the same piece. You could do a cool little like aluminum foot down here, and then all of a sudden take the price of this chair in the margins from, I think you can buy these anywhere from like $8 to $20. You could take it up to $60 to $80 to $125 range, and still it would still be in that great gift range for mom or dad or brother, but also be cool. And I think you'd have fun doing it. Lots of collaborations. But the big thing is you could also rebrand the name of this chair. So this isn't the idea of like, oh, we know what an Eames chair is. We know what this chair is, but I've seen like 100 different names for it, from a camping chair, from like a slingback chair, from a varsity chair, sitting on bleachers or outdoor. But I think if you're able to make something that's cooler and maybe tweak it a little bit, you also have the opportunity to rename it and then give it its own price point. So if you said, hey, this is the Scott chair, or I don't know, think of a cool name. You could say this is just what the entry level price for that is. And then you're marketing the chair name as much as you are the actual design of it. Now, Scott, I'm going to kind of give him, I unpack a lot, and then I have him kind of back in and tell me what he sees. So is the opportunity valid, Scott, or no?
It's definitely valid, and I think the renaming thing is key to give it your own. So a lot of companies will come up like a new version of a down jacket with a new fabrication or whatever. They give it a name, and that relates to what they've done to it, and then they take it and they own it.
Like, what do you mean, like back into the design and the name, then like is somehow correlated with the design or the tweaks that they've done?
Like for example, if like you take it like a quarter zip
Yeah.
and like you do it in new fabrication, and the fabrication has like a wind resistance or um, water repellent or temperature control, and you find a name that describes that function,
Mm.
and you call it the X.
Wind, temp, core, pullover, or something like maybe combine all
Right.
those or something.
And the person who's really good at doing that was Polar Tech.
Mm.
You know, the fleece company Polar Tech, when they ever came out with a new product, they had some really dynamic name to it, and then the people that bought the fabric could tie that name back to their product.
Ah,
And what that did was it gave it it gave Polar Tech leverage over that product, because the people that were buying it, if they bought someone and copied it,
yeah.
they couldn't use that Polar Tech name.
So half of it is if you rename the chair. If you tweak the chair, rename the chair, then no one's going to go take that and run with it because that's kind of your own spin on it. They
Exactly.
would have to replicate the technology or whatever you've done with it to be able to call it that or license the name. More importantly,
Right. So if you create whatever the new version of that chair is,
yeah,
you give it a really dynamic name, and then you launch it, then you own it, because anybody who comes in after that, everybody will be thinking of the original. It's sort of like Kleenex.
yeah,
Like Kleenex is a brand actually,
yeah.
but it gets a tissue. Oftentimes they call it Kleenex.
Yeah. Did you know Escalator is that same way? Like it's actually not like Escalator is the brand. And we all know Escalator as Escalator, but it's actually the brand that makes that is called Escalator, and we've turned it into a word in the dictionary, which is even the best marketing you could probably get for something because most people don't know that.
Okay.
Fascinating, huh? But
Absolutely. So that yeah. So I think the basis of what you're talking about doing with this thing is good.
what are the, I guess, full disclosure on bidding on an idea? What are the difficulties and I don't know, obstacles you see with producing this, making a viable concept and product and entering market with it, even in a very low, I guess, grassroots way?
So it's the idea of what you do to it to make it your own. So I don't think it's a financial thing.
Yeah,
It's a being clever,
and
and doing something that that keeps it the same thing of what it is, but takes it to a new direction,
mm,
right? So so it's not a matter of having like
I feel like QVC when I'm marketing
it
this.
could be whatever the tubes are made out of, changing the material, or taking the, the fabric thing and finding some really cool fabric.
Yeah,
Um, like for example, all of those use basically hard woven fabrics.
yeah.
Maybe you get a fabric that's got stretch in it, so when you sit in it, it's
But
got ease and comfort.
well, that's what I see. I think where me and you, so that's what I see when I go to the camping stores. That's what a lot of them do is they're applying some sort of like moisture wicking or dry tech or some sort of sun. There's all these little things that uh, echo all the other products that they're selling in the camping store, and they're putting it in a camping chair.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I'm interested in is taking the camping chair or whatever we decide to call this out of the camping element and turning it into a lifestyle product and taking it into the living room of a house, and saying not to look down on it as a cheap camping frat chair, whatever it may be. You know what I mean? Something that says, "Oh my goodness, this fabric is," you know what I mean? Like, so I'm curious in taking out of this, like, I don't know, this perceived market that it's in and putting it in a new one. But it might not make sense. But I think that in an artistic way, I just love the idea of like, for somebody to say, "Hey, I have these great fabrics. I have the easy one is like some sort of patchwork quilt. If you did some sort of quilting design on this and then powder coated it and put it in a setting that was, behind a register or over in a waiting room corner, all of a sudden it takes a whole new light and effect. But it's also it's also super easy because you can just pack it up if it, you can do some sort of cool dust bag or drawstring on it to put it in there. Great gift, but pack it up if you needed more room in the space versus moving it around, putting it in the back of a car. So I don't know. I think just trying to give value that this chair, even though it's a very low tier item in the furniture world, giving it value in a more artistic light and trying to gather those margins from it, I guess.
A good example of somebody that took a chair and actually reinvented it was Philip Stark. Took a classic chair and made out of clear plastic,
Yeah, yeah,
and it became an iconic furniture piece.
yeah,
So you could do the same thing with this. You could take this and put it in a completely different material.
yeah,
That I mean, for example, you can make it like the whole thing out of metal. Use sheet metal for the where the fabric is, and just make it like a static
yeah,
piece, like out of stainless steel, for example. Or you could do the opposite and make it make like stretch fabric, padded fabric, the crossbars made out of maybe a composite that bends. So when you sit into it, it's more comfortable.
yeah. I think it's comfortable. I mean, that's the other thing is like, I guess you might hit a ceiling on going from this art piece to something that's actually you feel okay throwing in the back of the car and using both off-site and on-site. I think, but maybe that's also the opportunity is finding something that spans all three of those if we haven't found it yet.
It's like when Philip Stark took a simple toothbrush
Yeah,
and he made it a piece of work, a piece of art.
yeah.
That you could the design and the shape of it.
Scott loves talking about art. Just kind of
But that's the concept. You take a basic everyday item like a toothbrush,
yeah,
and then you completely redesign it, make it a design piece that you want to show, and those things are cheap.
yeah.
Like they're made out of plastic and they're not expensive. So
Yeah.
it's not like he took.
A diamond and sold it for a lot. It was something that
it follows the idea of what you're saying. If you want to reinvent it and make it accessible price wise,
yeah,
So you don't. So I used an example, that chair that you did clear plastic.
yeah.
You can also do something as simple as a toothbrush and just change the design of it. So
This is probably a longer idea, but we have the guest here. But this is the idea 004. It'll be up for auction today for a week. There's no reserve, so it could be yours. I don't know what we're gonna call this one. I think coming up with a name would be great. But yeah, pop in, place a bid, and we'll see you for the next idea.